Thank you so much. Board will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Present.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Evans.
Present.
Alderman Page.
Present.
Alderwoman Negracia.
Present.
Alderman Coder. Alderwoman Rice.
Present.
Alderman Gunther. Alderman Lappy.
Present.
Alderman Stevens.
Here.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Present.
Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Green.
Present.
Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Peel.
Here.
Alderman Todd.
Present.
Alderwoman Davis.
Present.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderwoman Keys. Alderwoman Walker.
Present.
Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderman Narayan.
Here.
Alderman Cone.
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Boyd.
Present.
Alderman Gross. President Ballmer.
Present.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderman Bosley. Alderman Coder. Alderman Gunther.
Here.
Alderwoman Howard. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderwoman Keys. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderman Gross. 19 present, you have quorum.
Thank you very much, Sharita. The quorum being present will be led in prayer this morning by Pastor Michelle Wright of the United in the Name of Jesus Ministries. Pastor Wright.
Good morning to all. Thank you for the opportunity to be with each and every one of you today. May we pray. Gracious and eternal Father, we thank you for the opportunity to serve on this morning. We ask that you be with each alderman, be with the mayor, be with those in their prospective places as we serve the people of St. Louis. We ask that you keep your hands upon all of the plans, keep your hands upon everyone and their families. Allow our city to make a light that will be a beacon to all that are around. Give us strength, give us peace, give us mindsets to be on one accord, that all things work according to your will. We thank you, oh God, for the ability to be servant leaders. Use us for your glory, that you may be honored and praised. We thank you for this time. We thank you for all that is to take place. And we give you all the glory in advance. Make your name known, Lord. And we thank you for each and every person. May you show them in their districts, in the things that you have caused them to do, that greater works shall they do because of the plans that they are putting in place and because of guidance. We thank you and praise you in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you very much, Pastor
Amen.
Wright.
God bless you all.
Thank you very much for joining us today. All right, we will dispense with line item 3, introduction of honored guests. Does anyone have any honored guests to introduce? Alderman for the 23rd, you're recognized.
As always, I'd like to have my good friend Greg Meyer as my special guest today.
All right, welcome, Greg. Alderman from the 2nd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Today, as my honored guest, I have Cree Middlebrook, who is out of school today, and she's happy to be here.
I guess she is. She's not in school. All right. All right. Anyone have any more honored guests? Does anyone have any honored guests? Seeing no hands up. Alderman from the 25th, you're recognized on approval of the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we approve the minutes from our Friday, October 7th, 2022 meeting. Second.
All right, we have a motion from the Alderman from the 25th, second by the Alderman from the 9th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Report of city officials.
Report of city officials can be found in A, B, and C of the agenda and has been placed in the alderman's mailboxes. Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for appointment and reappointment to the 60 Plaza Squares Community Improvement District. The appointment of Mr. Rick Rosen, the appointment of Mr. Joel Shad, and the reappointment of Mr. Gary Lieberman. I respectfully request your approval of the appointment. Sincerely, Tashara O. Jones, Mayor.
All right, Alderman from the 5th, you're recognized on the mayor's appointments to the 60 Plaza Square Community Improvement District.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we accept the mayor's recommendations for the 60 Plaza Square Community Improvement District.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by the Alderman from the 5th, seconded by the Alderman from the 4th. And if all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it.
Dear
Thank you
members
very
of the
much.
board, I'm sorry.
Well, go ahead, Shereen.
Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for appointment and reappointment to the Gardenside Subdivision Special Business District. The appointment of Mr. Timothy Noah, the appointment of Mr. Benjamin Tamori, the appointment of Mr. Brian Malone, the reappointment of Mr. Brendan Smith, the reappointment of Mr. Jeffrey Krul, the reappointment of Mr. John Nash. I respectfully request your approval of the appointment. Sincerely, Tashara O. Jones, Mayor.
All right, Alderman from the 8th, you're recognized on the mayor's appointment to the Garden Subdivision Special Business District.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I move that we adopt the mayor's appointments to the Gardenside Subdivision Special Business District.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by the Alderman from the 8th, seconded by the Alderman from the 25th, that we approve the mayor's appointments to the Gardenside Subdivision Special Business District. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. We'll dispense with line item 7. Does anyone have any bills they would like to take off of any of our informal calendars? Any bills or resolutions to be removed? Alderman from the 12th, you have your hand up.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to move Board Bill 62 from the informal to the formal calendar.
Okay, so Sharita, make note of that. That's a board bill for perfection, so move it to the perfection calendar, number 62.
So noted.
All right. First reading of board bills.
That's not,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. I have, I wanted to make a motion to finally pass Resolution 113
Okay, that's on the informal.
and get a second. Yes, sir. Second.
Hold on.
Is 113 on the informal?
No.
It's not.
No, it's not on the informal calendar.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
thank you.
all right,
I'm sorry.
okay.
I'm moving too fast. Let me slow
Yes,
down.
yes. Slow down. Get some decaf.
I know.
All right, Mr. Clerk, you're recognized.
Uh, Mr. President, that was Board Bill 62 that was on the informal that was passed out of committee with a do not pass recommendation.
Okay. Is there a special technique to do this then, to take it off?
Yes, Mr. President, it would take a vote of
Okay.
majority to take it off.
2/3 majority, so we need to.
Mhm.
At that point, so we will, Sharita. Now, we require a second for this also?
Yes.
Second.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's been moved by Alderman from the 12th. Do I entertain a second to remove Board Bill 62 from the informal?
Second.
Second.
Second by the Alderman from the 6th. So moved by the 12th, second by the 6th. Sharita, please call the roll. We require 20 votes.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Aye.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Page.
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
Aye.
Alderman Coder. Alderwoman Rice.
Aye.
Alderman Gunther.
Aye.
Alderman Lappy,
Aye.
Alderman Stevens,
Aye.
Alderwoman Switzer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Green,
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Peel,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman, I'm sorry, Alderwoman Davis, I didn't hear you.
Present.
Thank you. Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Keys,
Aye.
Alderwoman Walker,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Pass.
Alderman Orion,
Aye.
Alderman Cone, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Gross, President Balmer,
Present.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderman Bosley, Alderman Coder, Alderman Coder, Alderwoman Howard, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Vaccaro, Alderman,
Aye. I'll go with aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderman Gross. 20 aye votes and 2 voted present.
Okay, with 20 votes, we adopt the motion by the Alderman from the 12th to take Board Bill 62 off the informal perfection and move it to the perfection calendar. Thank you very much. First reading of board bills.
Board Bill 102, sponsored by Alderman Cone, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing and directing the issuance and establishment of terms and negotiated sale of airport revenue bonds not to exceed $150 million to finance the cost of purchasing, extension, improvement, or enlargement of the airport, providing for the funding of any required debt service reserve funds, and for the payment of costs of issuance, appointing a trustee, approving the form of an indenture and authorizing the preparation, execution, and delivery of such documents and actions are as necessary or appropriate, repealing inconsistent prior ordinance provisions and containing a severability clause and an emergency clause. Board Bill 103, sponsored by Alderwoman Evans, an ordinance establishing a four-way stop site at the intersection of St. Louis Avenue and Bishop P.L. Scott, regulating all traffic traveling eastbound and westbound of St. Louis Avenue at the intersection of St. Louis Avenue and Bishop P.L. Scott Avenue, and all traffic traveling northbound and southbound on Bishop P.L. Scott Avenue at the intersection of St. Louis Avenue and Bishop P.L. Scott Avenue, and containing an emergency clause. That's the extent of reference to committee. I'm sorry, that's the extent of reference. I'm sorry, first reading of board bills.
That's all right. Thank you, Sharita. Reference to committee.
To the Transportation and Commerce Committee, Board Bill 102, to the Streets Committee, Board Bill 103. That's the extent of reference to committee.
All right, thank you again. Second reading and report of standing committees.
The following board bills were reported out of public safety with the due pass recommendation. Board Bill 91, sponsored by Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Orion, Alderman Page, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, and Alderman Vaccaro. An ordinance to revise section 15 of ordinance number 71123 concerning the transportation and disposal of waste tires codified in chapter 11.70.150 of the revised code of the city of St. Louis, delete section 13B of ordinance number 59121 codified in chapter 11.02.375, and revise section 13A of ordinance number 59121 to increase the penalties for violations of chapter 11.02 and revise section 3 of ordinance number 62330, codified in chapter 15.80.020 of revised code of the city of St. Louis. Board Bill 92, sponsored by Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Ryan, Alderman Page, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, and Alderman Vaccaro. An ordinance revising section 1 of ordinance number 69272, codified in chapter 11.85.020 concerning disposing of yard waste in city-owned yard waste container by private lawn service to ensure private lawn services are only disposing of yard waste in city-owned yard waste containers from private residents located on the block where the container is located. The following board bill was reported out of HUD's with a due pass recommendation. Board Bill 101 as amended, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing the mayor and the comptroller to enter into and execute agreements with the HUD for the receipt of 2023 Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, Emergency Solutions Grant, and Housing Opportunities for Person with AIDS funds, authorizing the directors of the Community Development Administration, Department of Human Services, and Department of Health to execute contracts as may be necessary to expand funds and contain an emergency clause. The following board bill was reported out of Ways and Means with the due pass recommendation. Board Bill 88, sponsored by Alderwoman Rice, an ordinance approving the petition of owners of real property seeking the creation, extension, renewal, and establishment of the Floral Place Community Improvement District containing a severability clause and an emergency clause. That's the extent of second reading report of standing committees.
Thank you very much, Sharita. Alderwoman from the 8th, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I would like to move to suspend the rules to place Board Bill 88 on the perfection calendar.
All right, entertain a second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by the Alderman from the 8th, second by the Alderman from the 6th, that we suspend the rules to move Board Bill 88 to the perfection calendar. Sharita, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Aye.
Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Page.
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
Aye.
Alderman Coder. Alderwoman Rice.
Aye.
Alderman Gunther.
Aye.
Alderman Lappy.
Aye.
Alderman Stevens.
Aye.
Alderwoman Switzer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Green.
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Peel.
Aye.
Alderman Todd.
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderwoman Keys.
Aye.
Alderwoman Walker. Alderman Vaccaro.
Aye.
Alderman Orion.
Aye.
Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Thank you. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Gross. President Palmer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderman Bosley.
Aye. Okay, I don't know if you said aye.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Alderman Coder. Alderwoman Howard. Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderwoman Walker.
Aye.
Alderman Gross. 23 aye votes.
All right, by your vote, we've suspended the rules and we'll be moving Board Bill 88 on. Sharita, please make note of that.
So noted.
We'll dispense with line item 14, perfection consent.
Board Bill 71, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingracia. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment authorizing the City of St. Louis Department of Health to accept a grant from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 72, sponsored by Alderwoman Ingracia, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment authorizing the City of St. Louis Department of Health to enter into a memo agreement with the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services for $10,000 through September 29th, 2022 to work with for the Ville in completing an active transportation plan in the Ville and Greater Ville neighborhoods, authorizing the expenditure of grant funds by entering into contracts or otherwise for grant purposes and containing an emergency clause. That's the extent of perfection consent calendar.
Thank you, Sharita. Alderman from the 25th, you are recognized for approval of the perfection consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we adopt the perfection consent calendar.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by the Alderman from the 25th, seconded by the Alderman from the 8th, that we adopt our perfection consent calendar. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Board bills for perfection.
Board Bill 62, sponsored by Alderman Stevens, pursuant to ordinance number 70333, as amended by ordinance number 71394, an ordinance directing the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on the 5700 block of Miles Avenue between the intersections of Miles Avenue and Hampton Avenue and Miles Avenue and Macklin Avenue, 3800 block and 3900 blocks of Lewis Avenue between the intersection of Lewis Avenue and Sharp Avenue and Lewis Avenue and Upton Street, and the 7300 block of Field Avenue between the intersections of Field Avenue and Germania and Field Avenue and Lofboro Avenue.
All right, Alderman from the 12th, you're recognized on the perfection of Board Bill number 62.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to move that we perfect Board Bill 62.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Alderman from 12, second by the Alderman from 15th, that we perfect Board Bill 62. Any discussion? I see we have Alderman from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President, and members of the board. I don't have well, yes, I do. I have a question, and I'd like to ask that of the sponsor, please.
All right, Alderman from the 12th, will you yield to a question from the Alderwoman from the 19th?
Yes, I will.
All right, Alderwoman, please proceed.
Alderman, I would like to ask you if you could explain the vote that was taken in committee and why you believe that vote was a negative vote.
Yes, Alderwoman, and I'm afraid you broke up a wee bit there on the last part. Why that vote was a
negative vote?
A negative vote, sorry. Yes, thank you for the question. So originally, before our summer break, I made the motion before this board, move the bill out of committee, hoping to not only keep the process moving forward, but to be held accountable by my own citizens who I require in speed hump related bills or speed hump related initiatives to do quite a bit of the legwork themselves, sort of meet me halfway, right? I do not approach speed humps as a upon request situation. I require a petition process. I require working with the Commissioner of Traffic, Jamie. I can't think of his last name at the moment. I do apologize, but the Commissioner of Traffic, and thought that it was an innocent motion. I now understand that historically such a motion has been used as a means of being aggressive or as a way to try and sort of co-opt the legislative process. That was never my intention. However, as someone who believes that it's never the intent, but the reception of an action or words or something, right? It's never how it's meant to be received, it's how it's received that matters. I now understand that was an offensive move, right? And have a better understanding of that process. So it was ultimately a mistake on my part, absolutely, to make that original motion. So this then led to the committee hearing, which you reference, wherein in order to better educate me on these processes and to provide a learning opportunity, the bill was passed with a do not pass recommendation so that I could get some sort of firsthand experience on moving a do not pass recommendation board bill and sort of the legislative process. Was that sufficient, Alderwoman, or?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So, as individuals who sit on committees, their vote is their vote. And so if all minds, or basically majority of minds on a committee vote a certain way, there's something else there that I'm missing. And so I don't understand, because that's not, two things that are in error in your statement. You don't have control over speed humps, whether or not they're approved or not by the street department, because their analysis is what all of us go by. So we should not ever think that we are ruling anything on that nature that requires a department to do analysis and make decisions on behalf of the city of St. Louis. And so our residents need to understand that too. And they also need to understand that there is a lengthy process now, and it's not a simple process to get any street calming done anymore. And we also know that we are behind. We don't have enough staff. We don't have enough providers of the service in order to install them. So there's something that I'm missing, and I'm not sure what it is, because I can't understand members of the committee sitting there saying, we're going to teach you a lesson. I've never heard of anything like that. I've heard of chairs saying things like that, but not members of committees, because they have their own vote. Was there something else you wanted to share?
I mean, Alderwoman, you know, I would say that it was framed in such a way by the Alderwoman, the chairwoman of streets, and that it was, hey, listen, you messed up and you need to learn, if I can be quite blunt. This provided an opportunity for it. It was a 3-2 vote. So the full committee was not present. There were 2 that voted against the motion to pass with a do not pass recommendation. There were 3 that did. And again, I can understand why. I now have a better understanding of sort of what my original motion back before the summer, which I've apologized numerous times for, both publicly and privately. I now understand why it's upsetting, you know, and I understand why it passed with the do not pass recommendation. I also understand that as public elected officials, we really do not have direct authority in public administrative matters such as speed humps or refuse or getting tree trims or so on and so forth. We're just messengers and advocates on behalf of our constituents. And that's at times a very frustrating and difficult line to tread, because our public expects us to be, our citizens expect us to be public administrators, our government expects us to be elected officials, and we have to play this dual role. I absolutely understand that. If Street says, you know, Alderman, and I always tell them, just call me Bill, and they never do, it's much to my chagrin, but if the commissioner were to come to me and say, Alderman, I really don't think that Mylance, for example, which is in this board bill, needs a speed hump, right? Or XYZ, well, then it's my duty as an elected official to say, you're the expert, you're the public administrator. Likewise, it's my duty as a new alderman, as a nascent alderman, to listen to my older, not older, but my more senior colleagues, right? And I will note that I'm the youngest at the board, so you're all older to me regardless, but to listen to more esteemed colleagues when I trip up in the legislative process. And this is this is an example of that. So I do ask that my constituents participate and do quite a bit of legwork to validate or to show block buy-in for speed humps. I do defer to the streets department on these matters, and I have declined in the past speed humps due to their expert recommendation based on their analysis. 'Cause heavens knows I am not a civic engineer. And I mean, at the end of the day, Alderwoman, I just want to do right by my neighbors, by my constituents, by my city, and by this board, make sure that I do things correctly in a non-offensive or aggressive manner, that I do things within ethical guidelines, and that I ultimately follow through on the commitments that I've made to the 12th Ward and to the city of St. Louis.
This is very unfortunate. And one of the things I think all of us have to continue to remind ourselves that we do have an administrative process that we have no power over. And educating our community is our number one task. It's not about what you can say, about what I can do, because there's very little that we can do on our own. But it's very important that we educate people so that they know and understand the process. And always remind them and let them know when we are in trouble, as we are now, not having enough employees, and the list goes on and on and on. So the city is in peril right now. But I do know that chairs will do what is required to be a professor, okay? But I also know that it is unusual for committee people, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about something else popped in my head, for committee persons to vote against. So I just needed some clarity from me, and that's why I had to vote present earlier, because I couldn't vote to move something forward that I had no complete understanding of. So I thank you for your sharing.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Is that completed, Alderman from the 19th?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Alderman from the 3rd, you had your hand up? Pardon me. Alderman from the 3rd?
Yes, sir, I did. I'll wait.
You'll wait?
Yes, sir, I'll wait. It looks like Alderwoman Ingracia.
Okay,
Yes,
so you're yielding to Alderman from the 6th. You have your hand up. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I just wanted to rise in support of the Alderman from the 12th on this issue today. I think when it's, of course, valuable to learn lessons. I think learning lessons in an unprofessional and provoking antagonistic way in a public forum reflects poorly on this entire board. And it does not serve the constituents that we were all voted to come down to the Board of Aldermen and represent. And the citizens from the 12th Ward and the Aldermen went through the correct process that's now in place in order to get these speed humps put in their streets for safety. I think we've all watched the news over the past handful of months and understand the emergent and crisis that we're in terms of pedestrian safety. And so I will be voting in favor of moving this forward today, and I encourage my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman from the 24th, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to agree with my colleague from the 6th. I support this. I really like the idea that we've talked about the fact that individual aldermen don't have direct authority over speed humps. I think that that's something that gets lost a whole lot of time in conversations, that just because we want something there doesn't mean that it goes there. There's kind of people above us when it comes to speed humps. I will say that, I know from conversations with the alderman from the 12th, he realizes that he kind of stepped in it here, for lack of better words. And I think we all have before when we come down here. I know that I have. And I think it's important to be able to kind of redeem yourself and say, hey, I learned my lesson. I'm not gonna step in that same pile again. Now I know better. And I think there's some public frustration with this body that we're using procedural plays excuse me for one moment.
Okay, you don't require a second on this motion, sir.
That we're using things like procedural plays to slow down things like speed bump legislation that would make it the streets safer for the public. And to quote my esteemed colleague from the first ward, aldermen are the ones who know their wards the best. And if the alderman from the 12th thinks that speed bumps are necessary in the locations put in this legislation, I'm inclined to agree with him. And so that's why I'll be supportive of this. And I apologize for my loud roommate here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Alderman from the 3rd, you are recognized for the second time.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate everyone. I want to be clear and as straightforward as I can. Someone may call if we have to, just to kind of keep me on line, point of order. But we kind of start off in that place where we're saying, it's about a lesson and we're kind of learning things and we're working to be, better as a board, which is very important. And then we get to that place, a second later where we're like, but the speed humps. And then, we kind of get off that place where we're initially talking about the importance of us working together as a board. There is nothing that can be done at all in this city without us collectively working together and figuring out how do we work best as a legislative branch to adhere to the things that the residents are asking us to do. So when we are looking at the different procedures that we have created in years and years and years of individuals working together to create some type of cohesive board to be able to get things done and have been done within the past, I think it is important for us to make sure that our residents do know when things aren't being done in a way to where it doesn't create a balanced board, because we're all looking at how we can work together. And if there is division at any point in time between us based on the different actions that, that are taking place, then that doesn't give us the best trajectory to be able to actually take care of the residents that we are trying to provide services for. This isn't, once again, about there is a problem within our city with individuals speeding and not being held accountable for those things. And we all believe that when residents put forth any action that they would like to see within their neighborhood, as far as a petition and say they want a speed bump or speed hump, we all want to work hastily in those things, but we have to work together to do those things. So, with that being said, I want to make sure that, with all the support being standing up, I appreciate that we all want to stand up for the residents within our city. But at the same time, there was, once again, actions that would take place. And I appreciate you, Alderman Steffens, for standing up and being accountable for certain actions that have taken place. But, with those things being said, I don't want us to continue to act like, our chairwoman or anybody that is working on that committee did not want to see speed bumps, or this wasn't about speed humps. Move forward, and those residents were not important. That is not in any way
Alderman, you're breaking up, sir.
That procedural piece was about in terms of putting this bill. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? I'm having really bad reception. I'm in reception. Can you hear me better now?
At this moment, we can. Yes, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Anything? And I can hear you. Can you hear us?
You can hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I can. I've been getting really bad reception for about 2 weeks now within the area. But if you can hear me, I'll continue.
Please continue.
Okay. Thank you. So basically, once again, what I was saying was the folks in the committee, we weren't in any way, shape, form, or fashion trying to halt the process of any individuals that are looking to have speed bumps and put some safety measures within their streets. We completely understand the importance of that. Once again, the procedural piece, I understand the public frustration, but we also are asking the public are asking us all the time, what does it take for us to work together as a board? What does it take for us to do those particular things? And it all comes down to, once again, what is kind of conspired in front of us, accountability, and us looking at each other in ways to where we better know how to work with each other and deal with individual needs in terms of being able to serve our community. So, once again, when we talk about the procedural process and us utilizing that process, or that process being used in a way to stop the progression of what the residents are asking for, that's never the intent. And that was not something that I believe conspired because transpired, because if that was the case, this bill could have been killed in committee and not come out to the board at all. That was not the recommendation, and that's not the way that it went. So you had the ability, once again, based on the chairman's recommendation, to be able to get it out to the committee so we all can have some sort of a conversation and not just die in committee. So, with that being said, I just want to make sure that, there is an understanding that everybody understands the importance of speed humps from individuals who want them, and our residents saying that they want these things to happen. But in no way, shape, form, or fashion is this process has been utilized to stop that. It has been utilized in a way, professionally, to ensure that there is, once again, a balance within the board between those people who chair committees and individuals who have to come to those committees at some point in time, which all of us will have to do. So we all have to, just continue to work with each other and figure out the best way to work with each individual person, within the board, so we, can create that cohesive environment that we like to have. But with that being said, I appreciate it, and I yield.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Any further discussion? Seeing no hands raised, Alderman from the 12th, you're recognized to close.
Thank you, Mr. President. In closing, I would just like to renew my motion to perfect Board Bill 62. Thank you.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we perfect Board Bill 62. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes carry. We have perfected Board Bill 62. All right, Alderman from the 8th, you're recognized on the perfection of Board Bill 88.
Mr. President, I move that we perfect Board Bill 88.
I'm sorry, excuse me, Mr. President.
You have to read it.
I'll read the summary and then.
Oh, okay, I apologize.
That's okay. Board Bill 88, sponsored by Alderwoman Rice. An ordinance approving the petition of owners of real property seeking the creation, extension, renewal, and establishment of the Floral Place Community Improvement District containing a severability clause and an emergency clause.
All right, thank you very much, Sharita. Alderman from the 8th, you're again recognized on Board Bill 88.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we perfect Board Bill 88.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Alderman from the 8th, seconded by the Alderman from the 6th, that we perfect Board Bill 88. Any discussion? Seeing no hands raised, Alderman from the 8th, please proceed.
Sure. Yeah, I will. Thank you so much, Mr. President, members of the board. I just wanted to note, we had to move this to perfection today. Thank you for your favorable vote on that, as the assessor needs to get these bills out by the end of October. So I appreciate everyone's support in moving this forward. This is the third renewal of the Floral Place Community Improvement District. There are 68% of parcel holders who have signed in support. The organization is moving towards different ways of looking at public safety than they have in the past, and some of their safety patrols are predominantly security officers and not secondary police anymore. And I think that that's a really interesting development, and maybe something for other folks to look at as well. I do also want to acknowledge that this is a bit of a difficult bill for me personally. I want to acknowledge the death of Vonderett Myers in October of 2014, and his family. He was born and raised in Shaw, and his death was connected to this community improvement district because the officer was working secondary when that death happened. And so I want to just say that, sometimes we have to sponsor bills that are more difficult for us personally, that I am working with the best interests of the folks who live on Flora Place in mind here, that 68% of them said yes, they would like to go forward with this. And again, they have made some important changes in how they're doing outreach. They host a number of incredible community events. There's a Halloween costume parade that is really adorable if anybody wants to come around and check that out. There's a 4th of July bike parade, all sorts of things like that that really do involve the community. And so I would just encourage folks that are looking at doing these types of neighborhood movements to create better safety, make sure that they're creating good community in the process as well, that really us looking out for our neighbors is the best way to really create a culture of safety. And that is so much more than just policing or security patrols, but acknowledging that there have been some really difficult times on Flora Place this year as well. So thanks for the opportunity to speak on it, and thanks again for moving this forward, and I would just renew my motion.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, all those been moved and seconded that we perfect Board Bill 88. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Once again, the ayes have it. We perfected Board Bill 88. Third reading and final passage.
Board Bill 89, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment authorizing and directing the issuance and delivery of not to exceed $4,691,000 plus issuance costs, principal amount of tax increment and special district revenue notes of the City of St. Louis containing a severability clause.
All right, Alderman from the 19th, you are recognized on the third reading and final passage of Board Bill number 89.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'd like to ask for Board Bill 89 to be moved to the informal calendar.
All right, Sharita, please make note of that.
So noted.
Okay.
Board Bill 90, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance approving a First Amendment to Redevelopment Agreement and CID Intergovernmental Cooperation Agreement in connection with Redevelopment Project Area 1 of the Armory District Redevelopment Area and containing the severability clause.
All right, Alderman from the 19th, you are recognized on third reading and final passage of Board Bill number 90.
Thank you. I'd like to ask for Board Bill 90 to be moved to the informal calendar, please.
All right, thank you. Sharita, please make note of that change.
So noted.
Thank you.
All right. So we will now move to line item 19. Courtesy Alderman from the 25th, you're recognized on our courtesy resolutions calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we adopt our courtesy resolutions calendar.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Alderman from the 25th, second by Alderman from the 9th, that we adopt our courtesy resolutions calendar. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. By your motion, we've adopted the courtesy resolutions calendar. First reading of resolutions.
Resolution 120, sponsored by Alderman Lappy and the following alderpersons: Vaccaro, Narayan, Gunther, Graz, Green, Schweitzer, Rice, Walker, Keys, Coder, Middlebrook, and Ingracia, in support of unionization efforts of Union Station hotel workers.
All right. The main sponsor is Alderman Lappy. You are recognized on the, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mr. President.
Okay. On resolution 120, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for unanimous consent to consider resolution 120. Sorry, my throat's a little dry.
All right, there's no second required, but hearing no objection, unanimous consent, Alderman, please proceed.
Yeah, so the folks down at Union Station have been trying to form a union with Unite here for a few months now. They filed for an election with the National Labor Relations Board almost exactly a month ago. The employer made indication that they were going to run, not run an anti-union campaign, but they are anyway. And so the support that we can give these workers is just really important moral support for them and for their campaign. I mean, I worked in a similar kind of job for a very long time in a grocery store. And when we had to take job action at Schnucks and Deerbergs and Shop and Save back in 2003, just the little symbolic support from elected leaders and from members of the community really sustained us for the month that we were out about 19 years ago. So I would just really appreciate everybody's support.
Okay, so what we've done, you had unanimous consent. So now we need to make a motion for adoption of this, then we can receive a second.
Pardon me. So moved.
All right, entertain a second.
Second.
All right, so the motion has been made by Alderman Lappy, and then it's been seconded by the Alderman from the 8th and the 15th. Alderman from the 15th, you have your hand raised.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry, I got muted there. Let's try that again. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I just want to elevate some of the stories that I've heard from workers over at Union Station. You know, a lot of the folks that are there are, you know, people who have worked on the front lines of this pandemic, interfacing with the public. They are door people and room attendants and banquet employees and cooks and bartenders and folks that have, you know, really been put at risk during the pandemic. And currently, the management of Union Station, even though they pledged to have neutrality in the formation of a union, are paying consultants $3,000 per day to be at Union Station and to spread anti-union propaganda amongst the workers there who are trying to organize. A lot of the reasons that folks wanted to organize in the first place is because changes that they have seen that have resulted in pay losses during the pandemic. There used to be a process by which banquet staff would split tips with the house, so the workers would take half the tips home, and the house or the management would take the other half. And that was changed very recently, so that banquet staff are not getting tipped out. And they were specifically told that it was because management needed the money to pay for the Ferris wheel at Union Station Hotel. I mean, this body authorized tax incentives for Union Station. I think a lot of us probably would have voted a little bit differently if we knew that even with a tax incentive, management was going to use it as an excuse to be able to change the wage structure for employees who have already seen reduced hours as a result of the pandemic and have already been working in pretty difficult conditions. So St. Louis is a union town. We don't have the number of unionized hotels that we really should. I think looking forward, we need to be looking at ensuring that we have labor peace agreements when we pass tax incentives so that management is not fighting the unionization of workers once a development happens. And I just want to say that I stand in solidarity with the Union Station workers. I really appreciate all the folks who have signed on as co-sponsors to this, and are, hopeful for a positive outcome when the NLRB actually sets the election date for the Union Station workers. This does impact a little less than 180 workers at Union Station right now. And unionization will help them get better wages, stronger wages, better benefits. And we know rising tide lifts all boats. So thanks.
All right, thank you, Alderwoman. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Alderman from the 19th, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I added my name to this bill, not because of some secondhand information that may or may not be true, but simply because people should have the opportunity to seek having a unionized workplace. I doubt very seriously that any proprietor would share information like, I need money to pay for something, to any employee. And in my number of years as a union representative, steward and everything else, there would never be that kind of conversation. But I'm a believer in having people have a chance to better their conditions if that is required. And if nothing else, what it normally does, even if the union is not formed, it allows for the conversations to be different. It allows for better subsidies in far as giving allowance on days off and or difference in overtime pay, all kinds of things. So I support it, but I don't think it's in our best interest to speak on secondhand information. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alderman from the 19th. Alderman from the 27th, you were recognized.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to ask if we could embank this, please.
Entertain a second on embankment.
Second.
Alderman Cone.
Okay, it's been moved by Alderman from the 27th, second by the Alderman from the 25th that we embank this. Sharia, please make note of that change.
So noted.
All right.
We have to take
And
a vote on embankment, Mr. President.
I'm sorry, excuse me?
We have to take a vote on
Yeah,
embankment,
yeah.
Mr. President.
All right. Sharia, all those in favor of banking this, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Alderman from 23rd, your hand's down. I guess your motion was the same. Alderman from the 8th, your hand is up.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'll be brief. We are in an incredible wave of unionization here in the country, that we are seeing interest in folks joining unions that we haven't in a way that we haven't seen since the 1940s. And our unions are more diverse and inclusive than ever, and really fighting for the best interests of workers as our wages get further and further apart, as income inequality gets more and more significant. So I just thank everyone at the board for being so supportive of unionization, and agree with the Alderwoman from the 15th. That is, if we can work towards making sure that labor peace agreements are part of our development deals, that will benefit all of us in the long run. St. Louis is a strong union town, and it rises all of our boats as we uplift our workers. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Alderwoman. Any further discussion? All right, seeing no hands, Alderman from the 11th, you're recognized to close.
What am I supposed to? I apologize. I got distracted.
You
So I just
recognize
do my
the vote.
motion to pass the resolution.
Resolution
Okay, thank you.
120.
I renew the motion to pass resolution 120. Thank you.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 120. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Second reading of resolutions and report of committees.
Resolution 113, sponsored by Alderwoman Howard and Alderwoman Boyd. Police compensation, officer retention and recruitment.
All right, Alderwoman from 27th, you're recognized on resolution 113.
Now I say it correct. I make a motion to finally pass resolution.
You'll need to ask for unanimous consent, I believe, do we not?
You do
No?
not, Mr.
Okay, we did not, as far as the second reading. All right, please proceed, Alderwoman.
We are all learning, Mr. President, trust me. Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to finally pass resolution 113 with a second. Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Alderman 27th, second by the Alderman from the 4th, that we move and finally pass resolution. But we have a hand up for discussion. Alderman from the 23rd, you are recognized.
Yes. Because I'm Prop R, I have my son and my daughter, which I filed the proper paperwork because that's what we're supposed to do now. So I have to abstain. I hate to say, but wait, I'll need a roll call vote because I have to abstain from this because of
All
my
right.
conflict of interest.
All right, thank you very much. Alderman from the 6th, your hand's up.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to request a roll call.
Okay, that's so noted. Alderman from the 24th, your hand is up.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the things that came up in the discussion in committee on this was the cost of implementing some of these things. And I am curious about the costs of the implementation of some of the ideas proposed here in this resolution. But the more I've been thinking about it, the more concerned I am about the cost of not implementing some of this. At some point, we're not going to be able to afford to not raise compensation for all city employees. And I'm including refuse, I'm including forestry, I'm including the police department, the fire department, sheriffs, deputies, across the board. We're seeing, as a city, we're struggling to recruit and maintain a workforce across the board in virtually every department. And this particular resolution is looking at the police department, but I believe that we need to follow this up with a resolution that looks at virtually every city department. I can't think of a city department that I think those guys make too much money. And Jay Schroeder of the Police Officers Association, he came into the committee hearing, and he let us know that in the next couple of years, 500 police officers with SLMPD are going to be hitting their 20-year mark. And if we see an exodus of 500 officers in the next couple of years, it's going to be very, very hard to make that up in recruiting. We've seen police departments across the country struggle to recruit new officers, and we've even seen the FBI say that they're struggling to get quality recruits in, and that's the premier law enforcement agency in the country. So if things like allowing officers after a certain number of years to take squad cars home with them at night, if that helps us to recruit and maintain officers, those are ideas that don't have a huge economic impact on the city. I believe will also increase public safety, because very few people want to commit a crime on a block with a police car parked on it. I think at some point we need to look at the bigger picture here, citywide, across every department. But for any who would think that my vote on this, at least, is strictly to say, hey, we need to give the cops more money all the time. No, we need to give everyone more money, and the cops are a part of that. It's a part of that solution that we're going to have to look at long term if we want to maintain a vibrant city, because we cannot do it without city employees in every department. And so I am supportive of this, and I would encourage my colleagues across numerous caucuses to be supportive of this, because this is about a bigger picture than just any single department. We need to be raising wages across every department if we want to see people sticking with the city, and if we want to be able to get quality people in to work for the city. Thank you so much. And with that, I'll yield.
Mr. President, could I respond to that, please?
I don't, well, at this point, we have other hands raised. You'll have you'll be able, and when I
close out,
you can address everyone, since there was no direct questions pointing towards you. All right.
I just have to make notes.
All right, thank you very much, Alderwoman. Okay, hand up, Alderman from the 11th, your hand is raised. Please proceed.
You're on mute.
I just want to, I agree with a lot of what the Alderman from the 24th ward said. I'm a little bit concerned, however, that if we significantly raise the pay of police officers without also thinking about the other workers in the city at the same time, that the other workers in the city will tend to get left behind. And so I'm a little bit hesitant to go too far down the road. And I know that there are lots of concerns about public safety that I share with the folks in my ward, but I hate to leave the rest of the workers in the city behind. And I think that this actually does tend to do that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Alderman. Alderman from the 8th, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I want to echo a lot of the comments of the Alderman from the 24th and the Alderman from the 11th. We have a salary study that was done. We know that all of our city workers are deeply undervalued financially for the work that they're doing for us, that we're not competitive in pretty much every sector of city employees. And before the pandemic, I believe we were about 1,000 city workers short. And that was before we came into this significant crisis of staffing that every department across the country is feeling right now. I agree that keeping on good employees is important, and continuing to recruit good employees is really important. But I also want to highlight, we passed Proposition P that gave specifically our public safety workers a raise at a time where we were not able to give those same types of increases to the rest of our city employees as well. So there has been a point in which we have already bumped up public safety employees at a time when we were still on freezes and some of these other departments. We had hiring freezes, we had raise freezes. We weren't increasing any more than the cost of living prior to the pandemic, because we were still recovering from the 2008 financial crisis. And so we're at a point, hopefully with the hiring of a new personnel director, that we really need to be reevaluating how we are valuing our city employees across the board. And if that means revamping departments to make sure that folks aren't working 3 jobs for the salary of 1, that we're adequately staffing the roles that we have, because public safety is truly about more than just policing. It is a holistic, when folks' dumpsters aren't getting picked up and there's trash all over the ground, that contributes. When trees aren't getting trimmed and lights are obscured because of that, or stop signs are obscured, that's public safety as well. And we need all of our city employees to feel valued. So this is not, I would be much more amenable if this resolution was addressing all of our city employees, that we were sending a strong message as the Board of Aldermen that we believe that these types of things are important incentives for folks who work for our city in all of these different departments. And I will say, in the mayor's proposal for the ARPA funds, there was one about affordable housing programs for city employees, for down payment assistance, I believe. And I think that that's really important, that we, as we have said as a city, that we value our employees living in the city of St. Louis, because we need those tax dollars and we need that public buy-in, that we support folks in keeping their housing here. So that's something that I look forward to discussing as we move forward with more ARPA funding as well. And so it's really that all of our departments need increases, and we can't continue to prioritize one department over another. And with parity requirements, I think that the price tag on this is way higher than we can support as a city. And so I think that we need to be really careful advocating for one department over another. And especially, even within public safety, we're talking about our EMS responders, are the folks who are on our ambulances, they're getting 50% of the fire department calls are going out to EMS, and we are underpaying those folks. They are saving lives every day. We're significantly underpaying those folks. So I would just like to use this time to strongly encourage that as we move into this next budget cycle, as the administration is setting forth priorities, I know that we can't use ARPA money to increase salaries, because it's not a recurring fund, but we really need to figure out how we are going to value our city employees, because we can't, if we can't deliver services, then what good is our city government? And that is across the board, not just in police and fire. Again, we value those folks who are out there putting their selves on the line for us. There are folks in every department who are doing that. So that's my support. And if the Alderwoman from the 27th would be amenable to including all of our city employees in this resolution, that I would be able to support it. But that I'll let her discuss when it comes to close. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman from the 15th, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. What I was about to ask is, I think, what Alderwoman from the 8th Ward was about to ask. So would the Alderwoman from the 27th yield for questions?
Alderwoman from the 27th, will you yield the questions to the Alderwoman from the 15th?
Yeah.
Please proceed, Alderwoman.
Thank you. Would you be willing to entertain an amendment to this resolution that would specify that we want raises for all city employees rather than signaling out just one, division or one section of city employees?
No, and the reason why is because I'm already talking to, and several other people are already talking to administration about across the board. And so it's not just the police that will be impacted from this resolution. It will be the fire department and the 911 dispatchers. They're a part of that whole process because they are under public safety. But I have already talked to administration, and it's clear they're very transparent. They do understand that it's across the board for the I'm going to say residents, for the city employees, that we have to look at the pay and how we're doing our employees as a whole. And so I've said this for years, that we're the worst employers there are for employees of our city. So it's just not about the police department. It's about refuge. It's about forestry. It's about parks. It's about water. It's about all these employees. And you have other people that have fought for these other employees also. And I'm one of them, to say we're not paying these people a decent raise. So I understand what Alderman Narayan was saying, but it's just not about the police. And that's what people need to understand. And when Alderwoman Howard and I created this, it wasn't about pay. It was about how to hold on and stop the bleeding of our police department. People need to pay attention because the county is sending us a strong message. We have great policemen and they want them. And that's what they're doing. They taking them by the numbers. And Alderman Narayan said, 500 police, it's no way we can lose those kind of numbers. And so our refuge people are struggling daily. I just spoke with the person over streets. I just spoke to parks. I just spoke to forestry. So I'm not just making it for one department, but this is a start. And the administration is clear about that. It's a start, and that's all we're asking for. Let's start working. But all I'm asking is favorable approval of this resolution, because let's start with this and start working on other things. So that's where I'm at this time. I hope I answered your question, Alderwoman Green, because I know I went on a binge, but that's just where I was at.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern, I agree with everything you said, and I think that, refuse workers need to be included in this, water department, tree trimmers, like all those folks that have not gotten the same raises that, the police department has. As Alderwoman Rice said previously, we passed a specific tax in 2017 that gave raises to police and fire when nobody else in the city got those raises. And, I hear about it from other city workers who are afraid of always being an afterthought and always being the ones that are left behind and left out of these conversations. Because I've been down here long enough to see that every time we seem to, do something for police and say, oh, we're going to come back and take care of other city workers, we never come back and take care of other city workers. And if we're going to pick up our trash on time, we got to have the workforce to do it. And the pay disparity between refuse workers in the city versus refuse workers in the county is actually a much bigger pay disparity than we see between our officers at the moment. And only about 3% of officers in the city are actually leaving for the county right now. Most officers that are leaving are leaving because they're leaving the policing profession altogether. And so it's not so much that we're competing against the county, it's that people just don't want to be officers anymore. And we're seeing that nationally. We're not, unique as a city in that issue. And so my hesitancy, my concern like what was stated by the alderman from the 11th and the alderwoman from the 8th, is that once again, we move forward with supporting some workers in our city and are leaving others behind that just continue to get left behind every time we have these discussions about raising pay. And I think that, you know, we really could strengthen this resolution by adding into it that we also seek pay increases for, you know, all city workers, those refuse workers, those tree trimmers, those grass cutters, you know, all of those 1,000 positions that we're having a hard time filling right now, and make it difficult to provide good city services because we don't have the workforce to do it. If we, I think really committed to looking at this holistically, then I think it's a stronger resolution, and it sends a positive message to all of our city workers that we're not going to prioritize some city workers over others, that we really are going to make sure that everybody is getting either increased pay or better benefits or a combination of both of them, so that we can recruit and retain the workforce that we need to carry out all of our city functions. So that's all I got to say, but thank you so much, Alderwoman.
All right. Alderman from the 3rd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, I definitely, I can echo kind of what everybody's comments. I don't think anybody is off here, but.
Alderman from the 3rd, can we see your face?
Yeah, my camera's on. Can you not see me? I'm sorry.
No.
Is it frozen? I'll try to stop and turn it back on. How about now?
There we go, sir.
Is it there now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. Once again, I appreciate you, Mr. President, members of the board. I don't think anybody's comments are off. I echo kind of everybody. I do think that when you go and talk to each and every department specifically, they all have different needs. And I think one of the different issues is that we've been doing for years, and we just have not done a good job of coming back to the table. And I would agree with Alderwoman Green, and coming back to the table and addressing those other departments. When we say we're going to come back and take care of them, we generally take years to come back and address things. And after we do come do something about it, you have years and years of more problems and issues that have stacked on top of each other because we did not come back. But, I will say that when you speak to every department, and I'm sure all of us, have, and will have the chance to, if you have not, you'll find out that each department does have different needs. With some departments, it's not necessarily about pay. We all want a little bit more pay. And we're not the best at, paying our employees, an average wage that, to coincide with the national average as well. So, but when you talk to the department, certain things that they would not necessarily say would compensate for the lack of pay, but would help them deal better with not having the pay. Like, some people have to pay for uniforms. Some individuals have to pay for certain things that in other departments or in other places, the cities, you're gonna have to pay for. And those are expenses that the city, could put the bill for, but we don't really have those different things itemized like that because we have not taken the time, and I'm not putting this on any one person or individual, organization, but to really line item every single thing that those individuals who are working on those levels that are asking for more pay, those forestry workers, refuse workers, people aren't just leaving only because of pay. You ask the officers as well. It's not only about the pay. The pay is a really, really big thing, of course. I mean, once again, we all want a little bit more money. We can all utilize it as well. But there is an importance of us really taking the time and to be efficient to really date these departments and do whatever it is that we can with every individual, because it's a bunch of us, and for 28 different aldermen, and we have all of these divisions and departments and different committees that we are over, it wouldn't have been too difficult, I think, during this time where we do have a little bit more money, back then, we haven't always had access to funds the way that we have now. And I'm not saying that we can utilize ARPA funds to sustain raises in pay, but, being able to once again utilize those funds and do things that these different departments are asking for that could potentially give them the tools that they need to be able to do a better job or a 2 or 3 man job where we're lacking the capacity at this point, would also bring up the morale of the departments that are asking for more funding. At the same time, gives us a better working idea of how it is the departments will function in the future with lower amounts of people or more people, because we never know when another pandemic is going to hit. We never know, because our city is a little bit older. A lot of people have been working these jobs for 20 or 30 years, and at some point in time, we will have issues and problems like we are having with the police department. Folks are leaving, which again, I agree, because some folks don't want to be in law enforcement anymore, and some people are getting older and they're saying, hey, I've done 20 years or 30 years. But with that being said, it is extremely important to understand the importance of focusing on these individual departments. When we try to put everything on one big scope, sometimes I think we never really get to individualistically take our time and help and build these departments up the way that they're saying they need it. They've lacked a lot of attention for a very long time. And just like a business that you are trying to build up, you don't put 50 businesses in one pot and start working on them all bits and pieces at a time, or all of them. You try to build up one, and when that's sustainable, you go to the next one. So I would say, Alderwoman Boyd is doing what she is particularly taking the torch on and said, I'll champion this piece. We all know that every department needs help, and they do, but we all can take on the different people that we talk with most that are asking us for help individually as Alder people, and run that ball in that particular direction while we all are, on the field. We all playing the same game, which is trying to get to a better place within the city. But, I think we can't all play all the positions. And that's what we try to do sometimes when we put kind of a blanket on everybody needs a raise or everybody needs this. Some people are making a lot of money within the city and some people are not. You got some managers, and you can talk to the lower people. Everybody's getting raises, but the people that are at the bottom that are actually doing the physical work. Some people have been there for 20, 25 years, and you got individuals that are getting hired next week and week after getting paid $1 or $25 more than they have the same potential. So, there's a long long history of the problems that exist here, but we all have our individual things that we've come into, coming from the walk of life that we have been aldermen who represent certain parts of the city. And our city is super divided mentally, not just racially or anything else, but we all are different, and just the way the city is. And that's a unique part of our city. You can go to the Hill, you can go to Hyde Park, you can go to Wells Goodfield, you can go to all these different neighborhoods. And aside from the aesthetics and all the bad things, but the good things are the amazing people that are there are all different. We are culturally a city that has a mix of amazing people, which once again gives us the little different individual personalities that we have within the board to go out and champion things that we believe we can champion. If the public safety is something that this older person wants to work on and say, I can work for that, maybe, that's the time for that individual person, because we all need to be working on something, can champion that piece, and we can go out and champion another piece. So, with that being said, I don't think that anybody is wrong in us saying that we need to focus on all departments, because we do, but we haven't done it. And, I agree with you, Alderwoman. Those things have not been done. And if somebody does not step up and say, hey, I can't do it for all, but I'm going to do it for one, at least I'm going to try to get these things done, we will be in the same position that we're in 4 or 5 years from now, saying the same thing. We never got to. So you got to get to somewhere. We got to start somewhere. You eat an elephant by taking it a bite at a time. And this is that little bite or big bite, however we want to push it or turn it. But somebody's taking a step and saying we need to look at this, and we continue to say we need to look at the whole city, but that's not completely been, and I'm not gonna say, let me not say it's not been done, because we all are trying. I'm definitely not throwing shot on anybody and saying, because folks have been busting their butts for years to try to figure out how to help our employees. Let me make that very, very clear. Every single member in the Board of Aldermen, past, present, I believe has tried to ensure we have adequate services, because all of our constituents call us and ask why these services are being rendered. So, we all want to see great things, but we want to have great employees. But, I don't think this resolution is intended to split, divide, or anything like that, but it is intentional in addressing a department or, I would say, section of departments that we know particularly are in need right now, dire need right now of employment and incentives to protect the entire city. So with that being said, I'm definitely in support of what everybody said, but I'm supportive of this resolution as well. And anybody who brings a resolution that says that we want to raise any department's funding, I'm with that all the way, because nobody's getting paid enough in our city in those departments that are working understaffed. It's just, you got to work 3 and 4 and 5 different positions. So once again, if we can afford it, we should be giving these people what we need, because the better we give city services, the more people are going to want to move to our city, and then our tax bracket goes up. All right. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody. I yield, Mr. President.
Thank you, Alderman from the 3rd. Alderman from the 13th, your hand's up. You're recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. President and members of the board. I appreciate this resolution a lot. I hear from my constituents all the time in the 13th ward and other people across the city about concerns about officers leaving the department. I heard very clearly the 500 officers leaving, or 500 officers who are all at 20 years. That's a big concern. I think one of the things that we have to think about across all city departments is the aging out. We have a lot of workers who are hitting those marks, and it's not just about retention of people moving to other departments, but building our workforce for the future and recruitment. And I appreciate everyone is saying about other city departments being considered, and I did want to just try to see if there was an amendment that could be put in between the last whereas and then now therefore be it resolved, just stating simply that the Board of Aldermen will create another resolution to address pay and benefit issues across other city departments. And I did send a resolution to the clerk. I don't know if it's in front of everyone at this time. And with my newness, I think I make a motion to introduce resolution or amendment 1 to resolution 113. And I apologize if I'm making the wrong motion.
Well, first of all, Mr. Clerk, is this amendment in the drive? Does everybody have it? I'm trying to look.
I sent it via email in a Word document, I hope correctly.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, this is Sharita. Let me check to see if it's in the drive. Mr. Clerk had to hop off for a second. Give me just a second.
All right. Thank you, Sharita.
I also now sent it to both your emails, Sharita, and then Madam Clerk, apologies, and to the BOA clerk address.
Okay.
Can I keep making points while we're looking so I can save time on the other end? I do want to say I did a ride along with refuse workers earlier this week, and I know several of my colleagues have either done that or are planning to, and spent probably 3 or 4 hours with them, did a run on the bulk pickup truck, picked up couches, drywall, bookshelves, and you're putting these materials in the back of this truck that is closing on it and pulling the materials into the truck. Meanwhile, dust and wood slivers and all sorts of materials are coming out of this truck while they're behind it, throwing stuff in, moving as fast as they can to deliver the service. So I do really think that, with that in mind and the work that so many other city workers do, that it would be something that would show our support of them to put in this resolution that we do intend to bring forth the resolution, not just saying it, but having it in writing. I think we all know how important having things in writing is, especially when I'm hearing my colleagues say, hey, we've done this before. We've said we're going to help them and we didn't. I haven't been there for that piece. I've seen this board be incredibly supportive to all city workers. So I hope that people are amenable to this amendment. Should I stop filibustering myself now?
I believe Sharita is still looking for the.
Yeah.
for the
Okay.
amendment.
President Palmer, I just forwarded on, unfortunately, I can't upload it to the Google Drive.
Okay.
But I did email it to all the alderpersons.
Okay. So I guess everyone needs to check their emails. And let
Thank
me
you,
know.
everyone.
I didn't see anything.
Because unless it's before us, we can't proceed with it. Because Sharita, did you send it to me also?
She sent it to everyone.
Yes,
I
sir.
got it.
I have it.
Okay.
Maybe just refresh the inbox.
Okay. Okay, I have it in mind. Does everyone have this in their email?
I don't.
President Palmer, if you give me just a second, I'm on the phone with the clerk so I can upload it to the Google Drive.
All right. Everyone talk to the goose in the meantime.
It's my favorite part about these meetings.
Nice tap handle, bad beer. That's why the tap handle's up here, not downstairs. All right. Alderwoman, would you be willing to wait while we get this in, and I'll come back to you. Alderwoman from the 19th has her hand raised. Would you mind yielding?
Of course, thank you.
Okay, so we can proceed with her discussion. All right, thank you very much, Alderwoman. Alderwoman from the 19th, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. What I'd like to do is speak on, we are talking about a resolution, which means that a decision would have to be made by the administration to move forward on this request. It is not a given because you have a resolution. I also wanted to suggest that we have talked about and we have remedied a lot of what is being discussed in the last few years. So with the minimum wage being passed, the city of St. Louis, the poor employer that it is, did raise everyone's salary that was below $15 an hour. Unfortunately, we had people working for $10.10 an hour. So all those people were brought up to $15, some more than that. So an evaluation was done immediately behind that. Since that time, in some departments, they have managed to eliminate some positions, and they have also created opportunities to increase salaries for some of their employees. If you do not know and you are not aware of everything that has been done in every department, in every budget in the last 4 to 5 years, please do not make blanket statements. Also, as we know, the administration and the mayor has made it very clear that that is one of her priorities that she's working on. They've already done their studies. They have already gotten a lot of very good information on how to move forward. That planning process is pretty close to the end, where they can start their recommendations, moving them forward through the appropriate channels, getting those things put into the personnel department's certification process and all that. So it might be very simple just to say, will look at all city employees. This is not anything that we can say will definitely happen at any point in time or what the results will be. We're just dealing with a resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. All right. And are we, Alderman 13th, you recognize Sharita, are we in the drive yet?
Yes, she said.
Yes, sir, it's in the drive. Thank you.
Okay, so everyone sees the amendment before them? Okay. If everyone has the amendment before them, Alderman 13th, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to adopt Amendment 1 to Resolution number 113. I think I need a second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Alderman 13th. Was that you for the 19th seconding it? Couldn't catch. Fourth, okay, second by the Alderman for the fourth, that we adopt Amendment 1 with a motion and a second. Alderman, please proceed.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. The amendment is pretty simple. It's inserting, whereas the Board of Aldermen will create another resolution to address pay and benefit issues across other city departments in between the last whereas and the now therefore be resolved. And I do believe there have been several people who've spoken already today saying how important they think another resolution is. So I think we'll have no problem meeting the terms of this to introduce a separate resolution and then be able to hopefully get this passed out today.
All right, any further discussion on Amendment 1? Any further discussion? All right, with that, you recognize the close, Alderwoman.
Thank you. I renew my motion.
All right, sure, I believe this requires a roll call vote, does it not?
No, not
Okay.
to adopt the
All
amendment.
right, so hearing, we do have a Alderman from 23rd.
I can vote
You can
yes
vote
on
on
this.
this? Okay,
I
all right,
can't
thank you
vote
very
yes
much,
on
sir.
the overall
All right,
thing.
in that case, we have a motion from the Alderman from the 13th, a second by the Alderman from the 4th, that we adopt Amendment number 1 to Resolution 113. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. We have now before us Resolution 113 as amended. And I believe it goes back to the Alderman 27th. Alderman 27th, you're recognized to discuss or close on Resolution 113 as amended.
I just decide to close, Mr.
All
President.
right. All right, so no further discussion. We have again, we have Resolution 113 as amended. Do we need a motion and a second on that as amended, Sharita? Before we proceed on the amendment?
No, sir.
On the resolution. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, so much. I'm getting slap happy here. All right. We had a request for a roll call. Sharita, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Aye.
Alderman Bosley.
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Page.
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingracia. Alderman Coder.
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice.
Present.
Alderman Gunther.
Aye.
Alderman Lappy.
Present.
Alderman Stevens.
Aye.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Green.
Aye.
Alderman Odeberg. Alderwoman Peters. Alderman Todd.
Present.
Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderwoman Keys.
Aye.
Alderwoman Walker, Alderman Vaccaro,
Abstain.
Alderman Orion,
Aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Abstain.
Alderman Gross, President Balmer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Ingracia, Alderwoman Howard, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Walker,
Aye.
Alderman Gross. 16 aye votes, 2 abstained, and 3 voted present.
All right, by your vote, we have adopted resolution 113 as amended. Thank you very much. Miscellaneous and unfinished business.
We have none.
Announcements.
Tuesday, October 18th, 2022, Transportation and Commerce will have a meeting at 9 a.m. via webinar. Wednesday, October 19th, 2022, Streets will have a meeting at 10 a.m. via webinar. Public Safety will have a meeting at 1 p.m. via webinar. Thursday, October 20th, HUDs will have a meeting at 9 a.m. via webinar. Ways and Means will have a meeting at 1 p.m. via webinar. And Friday, October 21st, 2022, full board meeting, 10 a.m. via webinar. That's the extent of the announcements.
Thank you, Sharita. Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Okay, Alderman from the 8th, you're recognized.
Thanks, Mr. President. I couldn't let it go without anything else. Just wanted to announce this upcoming week is Green Dining Week. It benefits the Green Dining Alliance. There are lots of participating restaurants across the city. So check out the Green Dining Week, Green Dining Alliance for which restaurants are supporting and where they're donating part of their proceeds. So it's an important thing, especially as we have moved to lots of takeout in during the pandemic and afterwards. So we are using a lot of materials, and so folks that are adhering to green dining standards are really the standard that we should be moving into. So thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Alderwoman. Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Must be a dull weekend out there. Okay. All right. Alderman from the 25th, you are recognized on the motion to excuse.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we excuse the Alderwoman from the 1st Ward, 14th Ward, 20th Ward, and the Alderman from the 28th Ward for necessary absence.
Entertain a second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by the Alderman from the 25th, second by the Alderman from the 11th, that we excuse the Alderman for necessary absence. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Okay, the ayes have it. Sharita, do you need to make that announcement about the vote or no? I saw you sent me a.
Yes, I'm sorry. That's for the adoption of resolution 113 as amended. It is 17 aye votes, 2 abstain, and 3 voted present.
That's what I had, but I wasn't going to correct you. I figured I was wrong.
No, sir.
All right. As for being married all the time, I always assume I'm wrong. All right. Alderman from the 25th, you're recognized on the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we adjourn until Friday, October 21st at 10 a.m. via webinar.
Entertain a second.
Second.
Been moved by Alderman 25th, second by Alderman from the 11th, that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.